And we are live.
You don't gotta be perfect, you just gotta get started. Don't overthink it. Just go where your heart is to your dreams and your goals. Let your goals shape how you live. Success is inevitable if you're willing your own self to become someone new, to be the true you, never be to do you. In front of critics, sideline judges, non-believers, people holding their grudges, appreciate the hate. It comes with the win when you're unstoppable from the beginning. Your excuses are useless. Let your actions be part of the solution and watch the income it produces. Recognize greatness, a supreme revelation. Years of blood, sweat, and tears to become an overnight sensation. Can't do it alone. I should have said this first. Teamwork always makes the dream work. Teamwork always makes the dream work.
Yes. We are here for another episode of You Don't Have to Be Perfect. This is season 2, and we got something special for you today. We got Block Famous Gator, aka Odie Reeves, aka my little brother. One of the reasons why I am who I am today is because of the love that I received as a young man, growing up in Harlem from the Reeves family. You know, I'm blessed to say, right? Um, Having this light-skinned, hazel-eyed young man with me, allowed me, right? We met a lot of young ladies because Odie could blink those eyes, when I didn't have the confidence yet. So I would have, really laugh and be thankful, to have Mr. Odie Reeves on the podcast with us. So Odie, brother, welcome to You Don't Have to Be Perfect.
What up? Thank you for having me on your platform, man.
Oh man, the honor is all mine, man, because we named this platform for today cut from a different cloth. Because you're old school Harlem. Like we grew up together. So, growing up in Harlem in the 80s was different. It's different than so much more. And then we were ball players. So that gave us, a different aspect and perspective on life, playing basketball at a high level. But Harlem got hit hard by the crack epidemic during the 80s and 90s. So we lost a lot of our stars, a lot of the people who should have done great things at an early age to being behind bars.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? How do you see how Harlem in the 80s affected not just you, but the people in our ciphers?
Yeah, Harlem in the '80s was different, man. It was a lot of love and it was a lot of misleading because it looked like that street life was easy in the '80s. But in
We lost you for a moment. Oh, I can see
all
you went.
reality, it wasn't, you heard?
Yes, sir.
That joint set me back for like 30 something years. And it's probably a lot of people that come up in our era that probably been through the same thing.
Oh man, that's
You
so
hear me?
real. So yeah, I can hear you clearly now. You're right. You said I love that you're willing to talk about. You said you lost 30 years to the
You can hear
streets.
me?
Yes, sir.
I can't hear you.
Loud and clear. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
No. All right. Can you hear me now? We're gonna get it right. We're gonna get this story.
I hear you
Can you hear
now.
me now?
Yeah, I hear you
Perfect.
now. You heard what I said though?
Yes, sir. I sure did. So I'm glad that you said that or was willing to talk about the 30 years you lost to the streets
Yeah,
because you're one of the young men that we talk about having great potential, you know, that lost a lot of time early, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And now you coming home to make up for the potential that was still brewing inside of you. You know what I mean?
yeah. From
You know,
from sports,
because at,
huh? Yeah, from an
yeah,
early age. I stopped playing sports young.
I mean, not just that, you had at a early age, people were attracted to you,
Facts.
and that's not just looks, right? You know, at early age, you were hanging with people a lot older than yourself, you know, so the love
Yes,
was great, but that's also where the misleading comes in, right? Because
that's a
you was
fact.
like
That's a fact.
11, you know, running around with grown men. You know what I
That's a
mean?
fact.
And holding your own mentally. Physically, of
Yeah.
course, we were always going to be overpowered physically, but
Without a doubt.
mentally,
Without a doubt.
you were holding your own. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's different, especially coming from where we came from. Your older brother, we both turned 50 this year, right? Nate the Skate was my right hand. You know what I mean?
That's
So
him and
one of
Tanico.
the yeah, you know, people don't realize one of the reasons I stayed in Pennsylvania was because of the time you lost, right? Right. We
Mm-hmm.
started doing anti-gang work. We started doing reentry work to write clemency letters for Odie.
And
Like,
I appreciate that.
you know what I mean? Like, it didn't matter, right? If we were just doing regular work, right? Every time we accomplished something new, we sent a letter. Like, oh, the news covered us. You can't say he can't come home to something good. You know, we got another person that we helped through state parole. Just continuing because your sentence was unfair.
Yes, it
You know what I
was.
mean? You got,
Especially
you were
that.
young. Yeah, you were young. So I don't know if you want to talk about it, because I know as your older brother how it affected me, but you had to live it. So,
Yeah.
it's different.
It was rough. Know what I mean? To sit there and go to trial with my brother, and I lose, and he have a hung jury. Know what I mean? I get sentenced to life, and he get 8 years. That was kind of rough. Know what I mean? Even though my brother didn't have nothing to do with anything, but to be convicted for drugs that I never possessed, that I never got caught with, that I never sold to anybody personally, was like mind blowing to me. I couldn't understand because I was in prison at the time, and they was telling me that I was giving someone keys from prison with no proof, with no evidence. So it was kind of like mind blowing to me to lose trial when my
And
when
that's
my
so
yeah when my when
it should,
supposedly
bro.
I left my brother with money to supply people with drugs, and he had a hung jury. Make that make
When I
sense.
when I heard that you got life, bro, I think that was the first time I cried over another man. that wasn't dead,
Came up,
right?
hat pulling up.
Like
I hear you.
I still remember Tanico calling my phone and telling me what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, Unfortunately, we decided to play in the streets at the time too. So you still ducking your head, but even though we ain't have nothing to do with that, you don't want anybody to have to face when life changed, and we was able to see, and when
Mm-hmm.
Nate came home, and he was like, we working for clemency for Odie. We gotta bring
I'm
Odie
sorry.
home.
Hello?
No, yeah, you good. You know, when Nate came home and he's like,
I
"Yo, we
can't hear
gotta
you
bring
because my
Odie
phone
home."
rang again.
I got you.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. My bad. My phone
No,
keep.
you good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No, it's good. That's why the show is called "You Don't Have to Be Perfect." We ain't got to be perfect. We just got to get through this conversation, right? When you came
Nah,
home,
that's a fact.
when Nate came home and he said he wanted to get you home. It's like write a clemency letter for Odie. And the first time he said that, I was like, oh, I couldn't even tell him, like, I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the street still had us. You know what I mean? Even though it looked like we were doing good business, we, you know, this Harlem. You know what I
Fact.
mean?
Nah, that's a
So,
fact.
so
Yep.
Harlem, so Harlem. Yep.
I hear you. I hear you.
So yeah, Harlem
My
had us
bad.
moving in a way. No, you good. Harlem had us moving in a way that even the nerds, because I'm a nerd. I read a lot of
Yeah.
books. You know what I mean? I'm proud to say I'm a nerd
Fact.
now, but even the nerds sold drugs. You
Yeah. Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because when crack hit, all the rules disappeared,
Yeah.
right? Beforehand, you had to go through being a runner and everything else with dope. When crack hit, if you had the money to buy an 8 ball, anybody could set up shop. So it became the wild wild west as far as how life went. You know, so
Yeah.
we had on our. I mean, God rest their souls. People like Gerald and Donnell and Carver, 14, 15 years old, having control of full blocks.
Facts. Facts.
You know
Facts.
what I mean?
Those are the
Like,
type of
so,
people that we idolize.
yes,
You know
and
what I mean?
and it was easy to get misled because the money was coming so quick, right? So
Yeah.
the people who most people watch movies about, we knew personally, an Alpo, a Rich Porter, all of those are people in the hood. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Matter of fact, most of those people would have would have wanted to know Nate and Odie more than we wanted to know them. Like, be honest, like, cause
I'm a podcast.
playing ball and doing everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Look, this one of my mans I was in the feds with right here.
that's what I'm talking about. Keeping it keeping it all the way together. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And what I love is that you came home and hit the ground running. You know what I
Nah, that's
mean?
a fact. It was
You know
tough,
what
but
I
I
mean?
was planning. The whole
Talk
time
about
in there, I believed that I was getting out. Know what I mean? I didn't know when,
talk about
but I was preparing and preparing so that when I do get out,
yes.
I could put my same energy that I put in the streets for them 30 years into something that I believed in. And I started
And that's
little,
real.
and I'm starting to get traction, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just sticking with it.
Yeah, and tell them what Yuppie stands for, because we see the we know they fly, but people don't know what's the meaning behind Yuppie.
Yuppie stands for Young Underestimated Productive Individuals. So basically, I came up with that because just because you make mistakes in life doesn't mean that you can't turn it around and be productive. Know what I mean? A lot of people that make mistakes in life is underestimated. And it usually start when you're young. Know what I mean? You start figuring things out. It took me a long time to realize that, maybe this last bid, that lifestyle ain't what it is. Know what I mean? You get lost in that joint. And then you bringing people with you. Know what I mean? Your family, your kids, your females, your friends. You ain't doing that time by yourself. Everybody doing that time with you. And I didn't realize that until I end up getting a life sentence. And in the process of doing my time, I still was caught up in the prison politics and playing sports because I love basketball and baseball for real. So I'm in prison playing sports every day. And my old head, Tommy Walker, used to always be like, hey, you need to come to this library. And I used to thought, I had a few dollars, so I used to pay for everything. Know what I mean? Here, just do my motion. Here, just do this, buying that. And then when my direct appeal got denied, it hit me. I was like, damn, I could be in this motherfucker for the rest of my life. And Tommy, he was there to pick me up. You know what I'm saying? He said, yo, come on. And from that day on, I started learning how to understand, the statutes and what I was locked up for. It took me like 9 years, but in the process, I got the understanding, and now I know I could read a case and know that this applied to me. Before, I would read a case and think that it applied to me. You feel me?
I get it. Unfortunately, you know, along this way, I became a jailhouse lawyer myself. You know what I mean? I was blessed not to do the long time, but the streets catch us all sometime if you don't slow down. If you don't get out, there's only two ways out the streets or behind bars. So, you know what I mean? Being that, and then
Yeah.
what's
Or
crazy is
getting high,
we know me.
3.
Yeah, right. And we know my situation was
Mm-hmm.
different. Like I didn't have to get caught up. Like I got out early. You know what I mean? I got to go to prep school because
Mm-hmm.
of the Gauchos playing ball for the Gauchos. I got to go to prep school, so everybody used to come to visit me at the
Mm-hmm.
prep school. Then I got to go to college, and then became during that time, you know. But I was just talking about this with someone. The prep school made me a bigger drug dealer than I ever would be on the corner because now I had white people with disposable incomes. So I would be bringing up people from
That's a
the
fact.
hood. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, hey, quick make this $15,000 to $30,000 lick. We ain't even gotta go off campus. Come stay in my dorm room. They gonna
Yeah.
all come buy this coke and you go home. You good. My problem was I
Yeah.
wound up getting it got too easy, so we got greedy, right? And that happens,
That's what
you
always
know,
happens.
always. You know,
People
but
wouldn't even people people wouldn't even believe. How I fell in love with selling drugs. I used to sell drugs on the Wards Island Bridge. You know the Wards Island Bridge, right?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Me and one of my childhood friends, a couple of us, they turned me out to the Wards Island Bridge. We used to sit on a bridge with people walking over the bridge. Imagine I was 11 at that time. 4 young kids sitting on a bridge with a basketball, just sitting on a bridge all day, and people coming from the crazy hospital on Wards Island buying crack for us all day. And the first of the month, we get their card. We go to the bank with them. We charge them $200-300 for one crack. that shit turned me out. That shit fucked my life up for real. Because it was so easy and I got addicted to it. And that shit carried me all the way till I was 30 years old.
And it's
And
for,
I
I'm glad
sat
you
in jail
mentioned.
damn near 17 years.
I'm glad you mentioned that you were addicted to selling drugs because that became my issue. Because I didn't need to sell
Yeah,
drugs.
that's
I was addicted to the rush.
no,
I was addicted to
yeah,
the selling of drugs. I was addicted to having guns in my hand because it became the lifestyle
yeah,
became addicted, right? Because
yeah,
and I'm glad that you mentioned how young you were. You were 11 years old when you first hit it. You know, like I've been telling people, we've been off the porch since we were 10 and 11, and people don't understand that.
word.
You know what I mean? Like we've been literally off the porch since we were babies.
And it wasn't like we had to. You know, I had my moms and my pops, you know what I'm saying? You know, my moms and my pops was at all basketball games. You know what I'm saying? They worked. They gave us allowance every week. I didn't have to fucking sell drugs for females. Like you said, I was getting females because of the eyes, me and my brother. So it was because we was attracted to it. You know what I'm saying? I was attracted to that lifestyle. And I wanted, and you know, I used to see all the older guys in the neighborhood or in Harlem, as you say, and be like, damn, I want that. You know what I mean? And it wasn't worth it.
And I'm
I
glad
don't
you're willing.
regret none of it, but it wasn't worth it.
I'm glad you're saying this, right? Because somebody right now needs to hear this story, right? You know, because definitely didn't need this. You and I've met more women in my lifetime as a young man because you and your brother had those eyes than I ever could have done on my own. Like what? Like let me grab. Oh, and what he gonna do? He gonna blink at her for a couple minutes, and I'm gonna slide this game in her ear. You know,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah.
So we had all kinds of ways we were winning at a young age. We were champions. You know, basketball
Yeah.
champions. You know what I mean? You know, Wally Lynch, Cam, Mace, all of those kids they were on the basketball team. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
always laugh
Damn
as we
God.
listen. It
All of
is
them.
what it is. Cause I damn God. You know what I mean? Like, growing up, playing for Herc, and I still talk to Herc and check on him too. You know, gave us a nice foundation to be able to go anywhere. Herc,
Mm-hmm.
man, One-Eyed Sam, who we lost recently. You know,
Old man,
we had
old
some
man
great coaches.
Leroy, Thurn.
Old man
Now he had
Leroy.
some great coaches.
Oh man. Dave McCullough, Dave Jones,
Dave McCullough,
so
yeah.
we
Sheik
had some,
Rice, Tom Sweet,
oh, Tom Sweet. Tom Sweet
Fat
is,
Bingo. Got
I'll
Fat
never,
Bingo.
Fat Bingo. Tom Sweet cut me from my first team. That I'll never forget that because I never got cut again. That made me an animal.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hey,
brother Sweet.
I missed every Wally. Wally was killing me. New Child Kirkland was killing me that day. I don't know how.
Yeah, Wally was
No
cool.
shots was going in. And my little brother made the team, who didn't even play no basketball because he was young. And I ain't make the team.
Yeah.
I went home. I told Tommy Sweet, I'm going to kill y'all in the next tournament. I went and played for Millbank. Killed them, and I was on Gauchos after that. But yeah, I still
Yeah,
remember
those were the
your brother
days, man.
politicking for me. Yeah, your brother was politicking for me. Like,
But
nah, Tom, he had a bad day. He's better than that. You know what I mean? Tommy wasn't hearing it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But
Tom,
yeah,
Tom was
man.
family.
But we had those experiences, though, is why I said we cut from a different cloth, because like now I got into this whole reentry work because literally I didn't know how else to make myself effective to help bring you home, right? Like
Yeah.
I like what do you do? I'm like I don't know, and then we got into this, and Ricky Vanoy came down
Rich Benoit.
from
It's
Lehman,
my guy.
came down to my city, Yeah, Rick Vanoy was like, "Yo, I
He
want you to
came to my
work with
resentencing.
this dude."
He came to my
Yeah,
resentencing.
yeah. I know when Ricky came home, because I'm in Allentown, it's like I want you to work with this dude, and by that, I was like, okay, that was my way to start working into this work, to start to write letters to the governor and to, everyone to say he has something to come home to. Yeah, I can't say that this is gonna be the same old, same old. You know what I
I
mean?
could I could
So
tell you a story. I could tell you a story about Rick, man. When I was in the
yeah.
feds, I used to call Rick. He used to send me money all the time. And one day I was on the phone with Rick, and he was going to bust a move, which I didn't know. And he got booked while I was on the phone.
Oh wow.
Got booked, and he just
Wow.
that's where he just came home from. And I didn't even know.
Wow.
He was just like, yo, I'm going to Western Union now to send you some money. Hold on, I'm going in Western Union. He never came back to the phone. Trying to find out he got
Wow.
booked.
That's crazy that's how it happened because at that time, like I said, I was working with somebody Ricky put me in contact with. So when he disappeared, I had T coming out here, and
Mm-hmm.
we were, and Yoda was starting to come home, because anyone from if you from Harlem and you come home, I got you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we make sure whether you're gonna get a job, open up a business, get in the program, you know what I mean? But we not going back in. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We don't go back. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, you know, when when that happened, I was like, oh, what happened? And now that's so crazy that's because Ricky just came home.
yeah.
We always, you know, but Harlem was different, right? Because we literally took care of our own,
That's a
right?
fact.
We still we still take care of our own. You know what I mean? Like it's you couldn't we couldn't buy the family that we built.
Yeah, that's a fact.
You know what I mean?
That's a
Like,
fact. Or for
and
basketball too. A lot of us
off
met
of
off of
basketball.
basketball.
Yeah, that's why it's funny when I talk to Hurt, our old basketball coach, and when Marquise got drafted, Marquise
Hmm.
Noel, that's Marcus's son.
Yeah, Marcus Son.
You know, yeah, Marcus Butter and Malcolm. So
Malcolm,
Marquise is
rest in peace.
Marcus's son. So when he got
Yeah,
Yeah, my Western Peace Mountain. You know what I mean? So when he got drafted, for me to call Herc and be like, hey, Marquise got drafted, you know, it just showed how many lives he truly saved because we were lost. Some of us didn't have fathers. You know what I
that's a
mean?
fact.
Like my mom was at every game, but my father wasn't. You know what I mean? My father didn't get involved until later in life. You know what I mean? So, just to have that that camaraderie, we basically raised ourselves a lot of times too
Yeah,
because of who we were. You know what I mean? Like there was times I go from the block to tutoring your brother.
yeah,
Right? Because none of us get left behind. We're
yeah,
gonna really make it. You know what I mean? But those are the same codes. The codes that broke us are the codes that save us later
that's
in
right.
life.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? By being, those. I tell people now, if we use those same codes that we sold drugs to, and we use them to sell hope, because that's what I sell now. I sell hope. You know what I
That's a
mean? I provide opportunity in spaces and places for new people, for people. Like those same codes, is what keeps us. It's what keeps us right. You know, not not looking over our shoulders now, but making
yeah.
sure, hey, you know what I mean? Like you came home not just to a clothing line, but you got a nightclub now. Like I'm so proud of you. You know what I mean? So tell them about Orion's because you're doing some great stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Orion's. I got a percentage in Orion's. It's an event space slash lounge. It's in the Bronx in Co-op City, and it's up and coming. Um, and we just trying to slowly build it up. At the same time, build the brand up.
But what I love about it more than anything is it's family.
Yeah, it's all
Like
family. It's family
Orion's
orientated.
is a family brand. You
My,
know,
my my cousin actually brought me in. My cousin Greg actually brought me in with it. So I'm blessed, you know what I
Greg
mean? I'm
Ice.
blessed to have, family like him, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like my
I
class
mean,
brother.
Greg has always been the big bro. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? He's always because he's a couple years even older than us. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Even me and your brother. So,
yeah.
Greg, I loved seeing that. You know what I mean? What I loved about and love about your family, unlike most families, is that your family has always stuck together. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
facts.
Like your
And
family is
and the
always,
extended family,
yeah, like
like you.
always stuck together. Yeah, always stuck together, man. Like, hey, like seeing you come home and be get a part of Orion's while you still building up your own clothing line, and we're so glad you coming down this weekend to sell Yuppie. So those in Allentown, you're gonna get your hands on some Yuppie. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I, we got some excited models because once we show them what the line look like, they're excited to put on your clothes and walk down and represent you. So it's gonna be amazing to have you out. But family, family sometimes isn't what you can be born into, but you were born into a great bond of family. Like the Reeves family and that extended family is an amazing group of people. From your mom, God rest her soul. You know what I
The
mean,
rest in
to your
peace.
pop. You know what I mean, like your grandma back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All
Nah,
really oversaw the neighborhood, and making sure people really stayed together. So coming home to that, you know, for you to
I'm
show your
grateful.
homie, you know what I mean? For you to show a homie from the feds, right? That means you keeping that bond alive that your grandmother
Yeah.
started, and making sure family is family. You know what I
And
mean?
that's my brother. That's my brother right there, you know what I mean? We built a
Yeah,
bond in there and so we continue it out here and got to know each other better and we just be vibing.
yeah. When you can't, some family we can't choose, right? Circumstances put us in there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I needed the Reeves family at an early age, right? I was
Hmm.
short, funny looking with glasses, and
With
super smart.
goggles.
Like that's
With goggles.
that's all of the wrong combinations to get girls, right? That's all of the wrong
Yeah.
combinations. Short,
Yeah.
funny looking, glasses, and I'm the smartest kid in the school. That's
Yeah.
not it.
It wasn't cool
You
to be
know what I
smart,
mean? So,
super smart back then, huh?
oh man, you know what I mean? But the problem was I was book smart, but we were still all led by the wrong direction, right? If we
Facts.
could have took all of our gifts that we had at that moment, because we were all powerful, you know what I mean? That 30 years that we lost, because we all lost time. Where
Nah,
would
that's a
we
fact.
be now? You know what I
And
mean?
you
But
can never get that time back.
no, no. But the great thing about it is that we all learned amazing lessons in that time that we can now apply to life and allow
Yes.
us to be even more influential, not just
Yes.
in our for ourselves, but for our kids, our grandkids. They don't, what I mean? Our kids don't get to make our mistakes. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason for you to try to tell me a drug dealer story. Like there's no drug dealer story that my kids can tell me that I didn't see or live myself,
Facts.
right? So
Facts.
when I tell them that we need to run businesses, that we need to open up real estate and different things, they can't tell us anything because we actually lived it. You know what I mean? Like I tell people all the time, you know, the people that they make movies about, we lived. I mean, when they see us, Tronny, before all that, Tronny was with us just like that. He was a Millbank baby, Antron McCray.
Yeah.
You know what I
No, that's a
mean?
fact. It's a fact.
You know what I mean? So I mean, all of them from they from the east side of Harlem. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They not even from the west side. That's Schaumburg. You know what I mean? That was Foster Projects. You know,
Lehman,
Taft Projects, Lehman. Those. I mean,
Washington.
matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
that night everybody was outside. You know what I mean? Like so, it's so different because I still remember when Antron and them got locked up, when the newspapers started coming to our communities
Mm.
and wanting to ask us all, we 12, 13, 14, they interviewing us about wilding and
I
getting it
remember
wrong.
them days.
You know what I mean? And getting it
Yeah.
wrong. Like, but they didn't ask who how a group of 14-year-old caught the East Side rapists. Like we caught the East Side rapists, stomped them out. You know what I mean? Like people don't
Yeah.
remember that. Like he ran wild on out. He touched one of our people's moms. I'm not gonna give the name of the moms who he touched, you know, because that's his story to tell. You know what I mean? And but we wanted up
Yeah.
catching him, and the cops allowing us to get busy before, you know what I mean, they took him in. You know what I mean? So Harlem
Mm-hmm.
was so different. You know what I mean? It was
It
it
was a
was
lot of
so
unity.
different. A lot of
I
unity.
remember.
You know what I mean?
I remember when I used to be on First Avenue and Mac and us in the summer used to walk from First Avenue all the way to the West Side, stopping on blocks, talking to dudes, messing with girls, smoking. Walk all the way to 55th and walk all the way back. You can't do that no more.
That's
You can't
real.
do that no
You
more.
know what I mean? That is definitely real. You know, because I have family. You know, we had family in them almost every project. My great grandmother was in Jefferson. You know,
Yeah,
I was in Lakeview. I had an auntie in Lehman. You know what I mean? So we
yeah,
all over the east side. My pops was on the west side. You know what I'm saying? My brother still lives in that apartment. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it was, we got the, Harlem was Harlem. Only people outside of Harlem called it East Harlem or West Harlem. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Because Harlem was just
Spanish Harlem.
Harlem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Harlem began on 96th Street on the east side because that's where Carver Projects, started. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
In my
On
projects.
the west side, it started on 110th only because Central Park was in the way. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So,
yeah,
I mean, so it was different, but I'm glad. Like now, as people are coming home, like people like yourself are coming home and not coming home and falling into the trap. You know what I mean? Yuppie is an amazing thing. Like if and don't just wait till Saturday to get your gear. Go online and get some now. You know what I mean? I saw New Child put on the whole outfit. I saw that on Instagram,
yeah,
in Vegas. You know what I mean? Looking
yeah.
real, looking real debonair. So what what is your vision for Yuppie? For the future. If you can see Yuppie anywhere, because we gave him the history, but people don't know right now. The past is the past. We working for the future, right?
Yes.
You know, So first of all, where can they get Yuppie? Where can they get your clothing?
They can get Yuppie. I got a website that's in the process, but it's yuppiebrand.net. They can DM me on yuppie.brand or blockfamous.gator, and I'll contact you. You can hit me on there, DM me. Uh you can see all the stuff because I post all the stuff weekly, know what I mean? What I got, ask me what size, what sizes I got available, what colors, and I get right back to you. I'm active on there. Um,
And you got some amazing clothing. You know what I
thank
mean?
you,
You
thank
could
you.
tell that you invested time and energy into what you're doing because it's not just all screens, right? You got some embroidered, you got some, I mean, you definitely got some, it got an old school Harlem feel to it, when I
Yeah,
look at it. You know what I mean? So is that the what you were envisioning when building up, giving them,
yeah,
bringing the old to the new and the new to the old.
yeah. And that was the plan, to bring that old Avarex varsity jacket back. Know what I mean? Like how we was coming up, sweatsuits. Then I had to kind of like fall in line with the stack bottoms and all that, like they wearing it now. And then I also collab with my brother Mo. We got something called the Coalition. We just
Okay,
dropped the hoodies with the hats. That's this one of the hats I got on right here.
okay. Are you gonna
The
be bringing
Nike
some
Stand.
coalition clothing down too?
Facts, yeah, I'm gonna bring some too. I'm gonna bring some
Okay,
too. I'm gonna bring
yeah,
some.
yeah.
And
I,
he's
I
he's
love
from
that you're
Harlem
talking
too.
collaboration.
Yeah, he's from
Yes,
Harlem too.
Harlem on the rise. Appreciate it. I
My
love that you're
partner.
talking collaboration, right? Because the one thing that we forget in building anything is that we can't do it alone. You know
Nah,
what I
we can't.
mean? We can mess up by ourselves,
We can't.
right? But, but growth comes in unity. So I love that you came home. You partnering with somebody for clothing, that you're working with your family for the
Yeah.
for the for the event space. And man, make sure if y'all need an event space in the Bronx, y'all rent out Orion's, right? You know, they're doing some amazing things. So rent out the event space. Is 420 friendly, correct?
Yes, 420 friendly. And if you looking to go somewhere for the fight this weekend, you could come to Orion's fight night
Okay.
Saturday, 2260
Yes.
Tillerson in the Bronx, right outside of Co-op City. It's gonna be lit this Saturday. So if you're
Yes,
looking to
sir.
watch the fight, you could pull up there. Free entry.
Shoot, we might have to follow you back to New York and go right from the expo back to Orion's, make you know what I mean?
That's a
I think
fact.
that might
That's a
be it.
fact.
That
That's a
might be
fact.
lit. We go from the expo to Orion's and watch the fight there. We was talking about what I'm gonna talk to the team. That's what we're gonna do. So
That's a
now y'all
fact.
know the official after party ain't even in Pennsylvania. It's back in Orion's. We taking it back. We taking them back to New York. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you, young man. You know what I mean? Because it could have been easy. You know what I mean? You lost 30 years. You could have been beat down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You could have came home. A lot of people come home with no focus, no vision. You know what I mean?
That's
You
faith,
got
man.
yeah, you got convicted of a crime for drugs you never sold. That's even crazier. You know what I mean? Like,
And I'm not saying I'm like an innocent person,
no,
but
we
you
made
ain't catch
mistakes.
me doing nothing. You ain't catch me doing nothing, and I was serving a life sentence. Know what I mean, I was dead alive in prison for 14 years until Obama came in and changed that up. And then
That's so,
Trump made it retroactive. Know what I mean, and blessed me with this opportunity right here to be on your platform.
and that's so wonderful, man. Because there's some, unfortunately, right? Your story is not unique,
Nah,
right? There are many people that are locked up for things they didn't do. My
yeah,
first charge I caught was for the resin on the plate of the coat. They couldn't
yeah,
find anything, so they charged us for the resin on the plate. Couldn't
yeah.
prove that you know what I mean? And our name wasn't on the lease, all kinds of stuff. So there's so many times. The only thing that saved me, I was locked up in the city where I went to school at. You know what I mean? So I had a couple people. I never did the time because of where every place I got caught where somebody loved me or knew me. And that
And
was
you know
always
what?
been
You got
yeah.
so many people in there with nonviolent crimes that stuck, that could use your help with the clemency platform. I got a friend that's in there. He been in there damn near 30 years. His name's Spencer Bowen. He got a
So,
nonviolent crime and they don't want to let him out.
so what we do is we're not gonna let this conversation be a null and void conversation, right? Outside
Uh-huh.
of what we doing, helping to see Yuppie grow and coming to visit Orion, we're gonna create something for those brothers. You know what
I
I
would
mean?
appreciate that because it's a lot
Yeah,
of them.
it's too many of them, right?
Yes.
It's too many of them. And not everybody had me, right? And not to say me per se, but someone like me that loved their brother on the inside enough to do work that he ain't have to do. Like, man, I could have
Right.
stayed in my own little circle myself and be by myself. Like I am most times. I work with kids, but most of the
Yeah.
kids I work now with are gang affiliated or formerly incarcerated. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're consistently changing lives because I don't want any kid to think that they can make my mistakes and bounce back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got kidnapping charges and all kinds of stuff that don't read the same on paper, right?
Yeah.
Because of the mistakes that we made. They don't, thank God, the way they read don't read like that, or I'd never been able to do certain things. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? At the same time, there were brothers who never had my opportunities to bounce back. There are brothers like yourself, who was facing life, like who never knew if they were gonna come home. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There are people
And ma-
right now, like you said, your brother behind the bars is doing 30 years for a nonviolent crime. You know
But
what I mean?
he got life. He's been in
Life,
30 years.
life for a nonviolent crime. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like there's too many people that can come home that we can start to show that they're coming home to something productive.
I know a bunch of people I could put you on to. I talked to
Yeah.
a bunch of dudes that was in there with me that had life that's home. We got like a fraternity. We all
Yep.
keep in touch with each other. I done built bonds in prison with dudes that was counted out and that's home now and doing productive things.
We're gonna create the life after death program. You
Life
know what I
after
mean?
death. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what they sentenced us to. They sentenced us
Yeah.
to death. You know what I mean? I was moving so fast and so crazy at a young age. People were always gonna tell me I wasn't gonna make it to 25. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you already know what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then you know what I mean? It was too easy. Like you said, it came too easy. You know what I mean? I was way too smart, so it really became too easy. You know what I mean? So life after death program, we're gonna help those brothers that you said in that fraternity, right? We're
Yeah.
gonna help them get access to what they need. You know what I mean? Whether it's a program, whether it's funding, we're gonna figure this out. You know what I mean? And then they become the support system, to more people, so more people can come home to something that's supportive. You know what I
And
mean?
and continue to enlighten the youth
Yes.
because they don't know until they get in there. This ain't what you want.
Yeah. You know what I
I ain't
mean?
know. I ain't know. I was reckless. I was
Yeah.
reckless. Know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and, and I ain't realized it until I got in there that there's 50 me's in every state.
That's
And you
real.
get in there, and it's like a warehouse full of black, Hispanic, white, in there with football numbers. And it's its own world in there, know what I mean? And you don't get a lot of people to get in there and have a life sentence or 50 years, 30 years, that program and want to change their life. Some people get in there and just, fall right into the prison politics. And then when laws change and stuff like that happens, they can't get no benefits because they getting caught with knives and drugs and all type of other stuff. You know what I mean? So I was blessed to slip through the cracks and program. You know, I worked in education for 10 years. So that gave me the opportunity to get all programs first. And I actually had a positive mindset in there, you know what I mean? And that effect you saying that I had on you and other people when I was young is the same type of effect I had on guys in prison. You know what I mean? Like dudes, I got a lot of friends that I met in prison, man. Too many. Too many, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I answer my phone, I get 5, 6 prison calls every day. You know what I mean? From good men.
And
And they like my brothers, but I can't do much for all of them, you know what I mean?
you
But
can't
pick the phone
yet,
up.
right? We
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
do much
yeah. That's a
for them
fact.
yet, right?
That's a fact.
We're gonna figure it out because there is funding. There is things we just gotta find it, right?
Hmm.
We just gotta locate it. Just like when they once we realized what clemency looked like for you, we knew what
Yeah,
kind of letters to write, right? Because they couldn't tell me that we wasn't doing the work that says you deserve to come home. They
fact.
couldn't say that that the environment was the same. They couldn't say that we didn't change. If we was changing other people's lives, how could you say my brother couldn't come home and be loved? You know what I mean? Like, so, like we definitely can be that change, and by you telling your story, we're gonna tell this story over and over again, not just here on this platform, but for you to tell your story as many times as you can.
That's
I
a
did,
fact.
I did 17 years for a crime I didn't really commit. Not to say I didn't commit any crimes, but that crime I
Yeah,
didn't commit. You
that's
know
a
what I
fact.
mean? That crime I didn't commit, and I almost lost my life to that crime. You
I
know, I
actually did. I actually did lose my life.
to that crime, right?
Yes.
And then luckily, not even
This,
luckily,
luckily, Obama changed the statute.
yep. And you had people on the outside fighting for you
And
the
people
whole time.
and
You
and
know what I
and, and,
mean?
and,
Because even with this,
keeping my
even with
faith in God.
and your faith in God, right? Because you never gave up. You never gave up. And then you came home with a plan. You came home, willing to work a job,
Yeah,
right? Until to put Yuppie out there, willing to
yeah,
do everything you could to not go backwards. And now, not only are you not going backwards, you're helping to lift as you climb. That's a
that's right.
commendable, right? If
Thank
nobody else gives you a hand, my little bro, let me give that to you because you lifting as you climb, right? It's so easy for us to forget because we're so busy trying to get ourselves out the rat race,
you.
you
Facts.
know, that we can't, we don't see how everyone else around us is trying to fight too. So, for your cousin Greg, and we love Greg, we gotta get him to talk about. I'm gonna bring him on one week to talk about his soul food restaurant in New York.
Family's kitchen.
And
Yeah.
just yeah, you know what I mean,
Then
for him.
my other cousin, Joe got Make My Fish on 116th Street.
Make my fishes, Joe.
Yeah, yeah. Him and
I
his
didn't know
partner
that.
Pat. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's my spot. Now, when I'm back at Harlem, oh man, I'll be back home in a minute too. So
yeah.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
my other cousin got a clothing line, OEO brand. His shit fire too.
Tell them all, break. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
this is and this is what and what I want to say. We cut from a different cloth, right? He had a platform, where he could have only mentioned himself. He could have only mentioned Orion's, right? Because that's also his and a family member that I grew up with. But he said, no, my other family got this, got this, got this. That's what being cut from another cloth looks like.
right,
To always make sure you don't just talk about yourself, but you talk about the people around you that matters. That was
right.
dope. So what I mean. Give them all the clothing lines and stuff again before we tell them how to find Yuppie again.
We got OEO brand.
So make my fish on
Make my
150.
fish. Make my fish on 116th between 7th and Lenox. OEO brand. You could find them on Instagram at OEOE brand. Um, Thelma's Kitchen is in the Bronx, 174 between Toppins and Clay. It might be 172nd between Toppins and Clay. Make my fish. Got the best grits in New York.
Yes, they
Um,
do.
we got Orion's 2260 Tilliston. We got my other man, my man Mo, who I collab with. We got the Coalition. Know what I mean? Name of his brand is 39 Lotus. You can find him on
That-
Instagram too.
Okay. 39 Lotus. All right, 39 Lotus, the coalition. We got Yuppie. Man,
And I
as
gotta
we
shout
say,
out, I gotta shout out my two partners, man. Arnold
shout them
Hines,
out.
Arnold Hines, and Juan Canales.
Okay.
Those
Yes.
are my bros right there, my partners, know what I'm saying? Gotta
That's
shout
what I'm
them out.
talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Because there's nothing without the team, right? There's nothing without the family. So I'm grateful that you decided to shout out the whole team. Are they all part of Yuppie, or do they have
Yeah,
their
they
own
part of
lines as
Yuppie.
well?
They part of
Okay.
Yuppie, and me and Juan got the Block Famous Entertainments. We're gonna be doing some things down the line too.
I saw the block famous. So okay, we're gonna talk. You know, one of the things that I have access to out here is I got 5 acres of open land out here that's gated. So
Uh-huh.
it I got my hands,
Yeah,
on some things. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean just and it's right off the highway. So there's some things we can do. You know what I mean? So even if
and let's put our heads
it's
together.
yes sir. You know what I mean? Because I want to see you win. You know what I mean? The greatest thing in the world is to see your little brother win. You know, still my little brother. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. That's
No
a
matter
fact.
how old you get, you always gonna be little bro. You know what I mean?
That's a
So,
fact.
you know what I mean? To see you win is gonna be amazing. To help you win is gonna be amazing. And then to create this network to help other brothers that's either home already or coming home so that they can transition not just in PA, but now we can take that same thing that we've been doing in
The
PA.
any
We can
state
do that anywhere. That energy is anywhere. You know what I mean?
create
So that
jobs for them, housing.
nobody got to fall.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean? Like, we can do anything when we put our minds to it. You know what I mean? Because the same way we was able to destroy the blocks, we can build the blocks.
That's right.
You
That's
know
what
what
we
I mean?
lack in support. Supporting each other.
You know what I mean? But that's why this is the start of the change, right? You
Yeah.
know, we we show how we support each other by just being that example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gave on this platform, right? You gave the example of you supporting others. You mentioned other brands, not just your brand. You mentioned your family, not just you. You showed a homie. You could have easily just kept the camera on yourself. You showed a homie. So you're living what you're talking about. We walk in what we're talking. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And that in itself makes this that much more powerful, bro. You know, if no one else applauds you, you know what I mean? With all of the prison calls, I know how that is. You know what I mean? If you ever just need somebody to applaud you, my phone rings. I
I
will
already know.
I will remind you, how far we've come, right? This is this is a story about not just success, but we had to overcome our own mistakes. We didn't
That's
get
right.
tricked into them. They got tricked. Oh man, we may have had some misleading from our old heads, but in our age groups, we were the leaders of the bullshit. Like people
That's a
followed us
fact.
to
That's a
go,
fact.
you know what I mean?
A fact.
Like people followed us to do nonsense, right? So we also get to be the leaders of the great shit,
That's right.
right?
Turn it
Because we're
around.
home, we're older now, and we've lived that experience, right? It starts, you know, it always started with us, and we get to continue it being about us, right? And
That's
us
right.
don't just mean you and I, but this great family that God has blessed us with. You know,
That's
the Reeves family, the Upton family, you know, the
the Buck
Simpson family.
family,
There's so many
Wilkerson
families
family,
that you know what I mean that made this huge family. You know, and you know, and it
the
all you know
Noys.
started with the Braxton family, right? Which is Leon Braxton, which is Herc's real name. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, so every one of them, we get to be that living example, man. So I'm hyped that we had you on. I told you this time would go by faster than you thought, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I wanted people to know that you're cut from a different cloth. You know, that Yuppie brand is bigger than just clothes. You know, that while you were down, you were never out.
That's
Not
right.
because, not just because you had family members on the outside that loved you, but because you loved yourself
That's
enough to
right.
never give up. You know what I mean? There's someone right now who's gonna watch this video, who's gonna see this live, who's gonna watch this replay, and they're gonna send this to their family members. And they're not gonna care about the mistakes about this show not being perfect because the show is called You Don't Have to Be Perfect, right? They're gonna remember that you told your story and that you didn't give up. There's somebody who's gonna get to watch this while they're sitting in their cell and they're gonna because you can now get YouTube sometimes in most cells now. While they're sitting in their cell, they're gonna be able to watch this, and they're gonna be able to say, if Block Famous Gator didn't give up, if Ollie Reeves didn't give up, if Otis didn't give up, I don't have to give up either. No matter
That's right.
what my charges were, if I may be facing a life sentence, but he didn't give up, and he came home and hit the block running. He came
Mhm.
home and he's lifting other brothers up as he climbs. He came home and knew that he wasn't alone, even when he was sitting in a halfway house, really alone, because there were
That's right.
people that cared, right?
Yeah.
So your story is an inspiration to others, right? Because you're not just building one brand, but you're building four brands. How many people come home from prison and build four brands? Yuppie, The Collection, Block Famous Entertainment, and Orion. Right? That's four brands that somebody need to hear that. Right? You could come home after doing time in the feds. You could come home after losing 30 years in the streets and taking one step at a time. You can build multiple brands to success.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
You
Multiple
just gotta
brands.
believe.
You just gotta believe. That is
And
that's how. Go ahead.
if people want to keep up with my story, I'm working on a documentary. So if you follow me on Instagram at blockfamous.gator or at yuppie.brand, I will keep you posted when my documentary will drop.
Let me know how I can support you along the way. You know what I
Copy
mean?
that.
You know, you got so many writers in the family. Now,
That's a fact. More
you
money,
know,
all of it.
you got Wally Burgos
Wally Burgos.
doing well. Right?
Yep.
What you got Walter Fredericks.
What? Yep.
After he's doing well. He's written now he's basically always on Tubi, but
Oh
he's written
yeah.
for Netflix and everything else. So you got people, who grew up loving Odie, that's in positions that write and are in positions of influence. So you know what I mean. LeVar Coppin, is El Capone. He was. Puffy's in-house producer at Daddy's house and done so much crazy stuff. So there's crazy support. You know what I mean? Like there's
Hmm.
crazy support. You know what I mean? Then I have access to TV cameras and all that other stuff just because you know we do. You know what I mean? So whatever you want to do, we want to do to help you win, bro. So let me know
Yeah.
how we can support you. You know what I
All
mean?
right. And I appreciate you putting me on your platform.
Man, this platform appreciates you coming. You know what I mean? We appreciate you spending some time with us. So this time went by quick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Faster than you think. So I want you, to again tell them how to find your clothing right now outside of him coming down this Saturday. They're gonna be at the Streetwear Expo. But how can they get the clothes tonight? How can they get the clothes if they wanted it right now?
They could DM me on yuppie.brand or at blockfamous.gator, and I get right back to you. Or you can hit me on yuppiebrand.net.
All right. You know what I mean? This is one of the greatest shows that we had so far. And I'm going to ask you to end the show with us the way we've ended every show. So we end every show by saying my personal manifesto. So I'm going to say it for you first through, and then I'm going to ask you to repeat it after me. So my personal manifesto goes like this. I love me. I'm worthy. Some people may not like me, but I don't care because the people that matter will be glad that I'm here. So we're going to say it like this. I love me.
I love me.
I'm worthy.
I'm worthy.
Some people may not like me,
Some people may not like me,
but I don't care
but I don't care
because the people that matter
because the people that matter
will be glad that I'm here.
will be glad that I'm here.
And I'm glad that you were here with me, Odie. I'm glad that
I'm
Block
glad to
Famous
be here.
Gator, right, came on the show. I'm glad that we got to talk about Orion's. I'm glad we got to talk about, the family businesses. I'm glad we got to talk about Yuppie. I'm glad we got to talk about the coalition. But more importantly, I'm glad we got to share your story because you have a story to tell. You have things people need to hear, and the needs more of you. So this is
Thank
you
you.
didn't
I'm
have
grateful.
to be perfect. Oh man, I'm grateful for you, little brother. And y'all got to hear we're gonna build something. You know what I mean? It wasn't just talk. My brother knows that once we say it in the air, when we did bad things, when we said in the air, we followed through. So when we said good things in the air, we definitely got to follow through. So look for what we're gonna for our new prison reform system that we're gonna come up with for people coming home, for people that are home, a support system. You know what I mean? I don't know what we're gonna call it. You know what I mean? But we're gonna build it. We're gonna build it because more people need to know that there's hope, right? If Odie had hope and he's reaching back to make sure other people have hope, we need to make sure that that light shines bright.
That's
And
right.
that's what we're going to do. So this is you don't have to be perfect. You just need to get started. This was episode 3. Next week we're going to have our sister from another mister, Miss Angela Amazing Johnson, and she's going to talk about cleaning up our act, what it looks like for life after domestic violence and building something great. So I'm grateful that I had my brother Ollie Reed's Block Famous Gator on. And make sure you go get some Yuppie brand. Make sure you stop by Orion's. And make sure you go by Thelma's and get some great soul food. This is the happiness engineer saying peace and love and knowing
Peace.
that this is our favorite time of the day. Peace.
Peace.
So we are.